Hello and welcome to Sports Fan Entertainment here for NFL Week 12 picks and predictions. Where last week we had a great week. I only got 3 or 4 games wrong straight up, and against the spread, I was 2-1. I only took 3 games against the spread because I knew I really didn't trust the lines last week, and actually it turns out I probably should have. After one of the most unpredictable weeks, I think the most unpredictable week ever in terms of the NFL, that was the week where the Titans upset the Chiefs and the Falcons upset the Saints, and this happened and that happened, and the Seahawks beat the 49ers in San Francisco, and the Vikings beat the Cowboys in Dallas, and the Browns actually decided to win a game, where all of that stuff happened. Last week was incredibly predictable. It was so predictable. I want to say I only got 3 games wrong last week, and there should have been 14 games. So I went 11-3. Maybe there are 13 games, and I went, what's the math on that? 10-3. Right? So it was a very predictable week last week. And I expect, a happy medium this week. So not the disaster that we had in week 10, but also not the very predictable week 11 that we had. So with that said, let us begin with the Thursday night football game as we have the Indianapolis Colts at the Houston Texans, where the Indianapolis Colts took care of business. They handled the Jacksonville Jaguars last week, whereas the Houston Texans were handled by the Baltimore Ravens last week. And this is a battle that I believe, even as a Tennessee Titans fan, and I don't want to believe this, okay? Don't get me wrong. This pains me to say. This is not something that I want to say. But will likely determine the AFC South. I think if the Texans win this game, they go on to win the AFC South. If the Colts win this game, they go on to win the AFC South, as they will have a 1-game lead on the Houston Texans and the tiebreaker. And I think that would be a little too much for the Texans to insurmount. So I do believe the winner of this game will win the AFC South. And we saw the Colts win this matchup early in the season. So keep that in mind. And with that in mind, I think the Texans do return the favor. This is a game that they must win. I know that they've lost a lot of their heart and spirit with the injury to J.J. Watt, and I think that actually had a lot to do with last week's performance, especially defensively. But they have to come out and win this game. Again, if they lose this game, you're talking about effectively a 2-game lead for the Indianapolis Colts with 4 games left. That's almost, it's not insurmountable, but that's a tall task. I think they come out and they win this game. And I do believe they end up, actually, if you had to ask, I know what I just said. I just said that I think the winner of this game is probably going to win the division. I just said that. You know what? I think the Texans will win this game, but I still think the Colts will win the division. But don't hold me to that. That's just what I think. I'm not 100% on that. It's very close. It's going to be a close call. I'm not, taking a strong stance on this. I have plenty of strong stances. This is not one of them. But it's going to be a fun game, but give me the Houston Texans to win this one. All right, next game we have the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Cincinnati Bengals. And this is a divisional matchup that we don't care about. Now, I know that the Pittsburgh Steelers are still in it. And they are. I'm not even using air quotes. They're in it. But they're going to have no problem here going to Cincinnati and winning. I know Cincinnati competed with the Oakland Raiders last week. They showed some signs of life. And if Andy Dalton was out there for that football game, they win that football game to me. But they don't want to win football games. Right? That's the problem here. They're taking for Joe Burrow, who is now the number 1 overall pick in this upcoming 2020 NFL draft. So give me the Cincinnati Bengals to win this one. No, to the Pittsburgh Steelers to win this one. Next game is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Atlanta Falcons. And here is a very interesting one indeed. Another divisional matchup. NFL just serving out divisional matchups. It must be November indeed. So here's the dealio. The Atlanta Falcons, who were dead and gone, okay, they're an expired or at least endangered species at the very least in this league. They've won 2 straight games convincingly, defeating the Carolina Panthers and the New Orleans Saints. What the hell is going on in the deep south in Atlanta? It is hot down there. I don't know what's going on right now. So I'm gonna ride this wave, and it's ridiculous because watch as they return to being the Atlanta Falcons team that lost to the Cardinals, the Atlanta Falcons team that were dominated by the Tennessee Titans, the Atlanta Falcons team who were dominated by the Houston Texans. Watch as they return to that Falcons team as we begin to bet on them and pick them once again. But for right now, you got to ride this wave. Give me the Atlanta Falcons to win this game at home. Next game, we have the Denver Broncos at the Buffalo Bills. And Bronco fans, are y'all enjoying this? I mean, I guess the last game was entertaining. I mean, you lost against the Minnesota Vikings. But, I mean, if I'm a Viking fan, if I'm a Bronco fan, I just feel so depressed. I don't have faith in Vic Fangio. We don't have our franchise quarterback to me. Maybe Drew Lock can come in and do something later on, but he's still trying to work his way back. I just don't care about this Broncos season. Even Bradley Chubb ain't out there running around. If I'm a Bronco fan, I hate this season. I told y'all to expect this, by the way. Exactly what I told you. Buffalo, on the other hand, is positioned to make the playoffs. And although they're not a very strong playoff team, they're going to end up being a playoff team. Because what are they right now, like 7-3? They're going to be 8-3 as they host the Denver Broncos, and they still probably face like the Dolphins and the Jets once, if not twice. So, or one of them, so there's still more wins for them. They're likely headed to the playoffs when you just look at their schedule. And this is an easy one here. Give me the Buffalo Bills to win this game against Denver, although I still think it would be close because the Broncos are still competing in games, and they almost upset the Vikings last week. All right, next game, we have the Oakland Raiders at the New York Jets, and this is a trap game. I mean, this is an absolute trap game. Now, I told you last week that I had the under for the Cincinnati Bengals Oakland Raiders football game because I knew that although the Raiders have been playing well, they're not dominant. They're able to win games. They're able to compete against some decent teams, some good teams. They're not dominant yet. Everyone's ready to crown the Oakland Raiders. Oh, what a draft class. Oh, everyone poo-pooed Gruden and Mike Mayock. Oh, everyone was wrong on that. Look, they're having an all right season. But it can easily turn from the Chargers, who were 12-4 last year, and now one of the worst teams in the league. That's how quickly things can flip in this league, and the Chargers are still more talented than these Oakland Raiders, and you know that. Okay, let's not cap on that. Okay, let's not cap. Chargers have a better defensive line. Chargers have a better running back. Chargers have a better wide receiver position. Right now, quarterback is going to the Oakland Raiders 100%. The Chargers have a better defense. Chargers are still more talented than the Oakland Raiders. So if you think this Raider thing is just going to continue, no. This is not the talent is being accumulated, but it's young and it's going to be consistent. I'm not betting on the Raiders long term. But for right now, they're playing well. Okay, they're playing well. So they should have no problem going to New York and being the Jets. But let me tell you right now, they're going to have a problem with this. And I think they're going to win the game. But I think the Jets are going to give them a hell of an effort. And I think it's going to be a close game, and I think it is a game that the Raiders will win. And the biggest thing to look out for in terms of that game, the Jets have a great rush defense. Now, maybe that's in part because their passing offense is so bad. Why you want to run the football anyway? But I think they're averaging, well under like 4 yards a carry allowed in terms of their defense. They're one of the top rushing defense in the league, maybe even number one. I'd have to check that stat. So, the Raiders are going to have some problems running the football on the Jets, and that might end up in a Jets victory. So just watch out for that. All right, next game, you have the New York Giants at the Chicago Bears, and this matchup. Okay, the Bears fans, speaking of fan base who are depressed, how about Bears fans? Your franchise quarterback is now done. I mean, essentially, he's still playing, but in year 2, we're talking about this guy being, a complete afterthought, or year 3. He's done. There's no way this guy's going to continue to be the franchise quarterback for the Chicago Bears. And this is early. I mean, year 3, we're talking about this. Like, it's not as bad as like a Paxton Lynch or a Johnny Manziel scenario, but this is bad. So, your franchise quarterback's kaput. You got to watch these games. You can't put up points. Now you're questioning your head coach, Matt Nagy. It's just gone to hell in Chicago. But you're going to win this one because despite all the problems that you have, you're still better than the New York Giants who are traveling to you. Okay, and that's still a fact. And if you're the Giants, you got to fire Pat Shurmur to me. Well, actually, I don't think you have to because it is Dave Gettleman's fault. He gutted this roster, and this is what you get, right? This is exactly what you get. And we'll see. Maybe it's going to take a couple years, and the Giants will be good again. Fine. But it's bad right now. And it's going to continue to be bad. And I think they're on like the 49er track. Like the San Francisco 49er track. Except at least the 49ers had Kyle Shanahan. I guess that's the main difference here. But we'll see. I mean, we'll see in the future. But for right now, give the Chicago Bears to win this game at home. Next game, we have the Carolina Panthers at the New Orleans Saints. And this game is another divisional bout in the NFC South. A lot of South divisional battles this weekend. So New Orleans is back. All right, so I guess they're just, I don't know what the Falcons are doing. They're doing some voodoo or something. I don't know what's going on over there. So we'll count their loss to the Falcons as a scratch. They came out last week. They looked great. Before the bye week, they looked great. With Teddy Bridgewater, they look great. They're great. Whereas the Panthers are struggling right now, legitimately. Kyle Allen has fallen back to earth, and he does not appear to be the heir apparent to Cam Newton, although he is young, people, so give him some time. I mean, I'm not really buying it, but give him some time. I think he hasn't proven anything yet, positively or negatively. So give me the Saints to win this one because I have faith in them still being a Super Bowl contender in this league, one of the best teams in the NFC, and I hope that Falcons loss was just an aberration. Next game we have the Miami Dolphins at the Cleveland Browns. And remember, before the season, I told everyone this in my preseason predictions for the Cleveland Browns. I said that the Cleveland Browns are going to start 2-6. No, I said 2-5 or 3-4. But that they were going to go on a winning streak and that they were going to make the playoffs. This was my bold prediction before the season. When we came to week, I want to say 10 or 9. Should be week 9. And they went up against the Denver Broncos. I said, this is when the run starts. This is it. It's time. I hope y'all are ready. And they lost. And I lost all faith. And I picked against them against the Buffalo Bills. And I picked against them against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And now they're on the winning streak. So I was a week late. Or a week early. Okay, I was a week early to the party. But the party has now begun. Now, are they going to make the playoffs? Well, with Myles Garrett bopping Mason Rudolph on the head, probably not. And real quick, my stance on this, I got in big trouble on Twitter because I was justifying the Myles Garrett bop on Mason Rudolph, and that's what it was. Okay, everyone saying, oh, it was a vicious, no, it was a boop. Okay, he was trying to knock some sense into Mason Rudolph. People, this is what happened. This was the fight. This is the tea. Mason Rudolph was tackled by Myles Garrett legitimately. Okay? He was taken down. Not even tackled. Taken down. Mason Rudolph began to tug at the helmet of Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett said, oh, who? This boy think you gonna take my helmet off? Who the hell you think you is? Okay? Come up. Give me your damn helmet. That was the end of the discussion. He was getting pushed back. Mason Rudolph said, hey, didn't give me my helmet back. Didn't give me my... And Myles Garrett's getting pushed back. His left hand is currently being distracted, or actually, how can I say, incapacitated by the Steelers offensive lineman David DeCastro. Mason Rudolph is charging. Myles Garrett said, nigga, boom. That was it. Now, it deserves a suspension. Let me be clear. It deserves a suspension. 4 games, if you ask me. Mason Rudolph should not be suspended even a second to me because he didn't do anything. He didn't swing a punch. He just tried to take off the dude's helmet, and he charged at him. No games for him. Marquise Pouncey. 2, because, dude, you can't kick somebody's head. Like, you're not Randy Orton. Stop trying to kick somebody's head off. Or like stomp, really not even kick his head off and stomp him out. That's you can't do that, even in that circumstance. And Larry Ogunjobi, 0. I don't think Larry Ogunjobi should be suspended even a second either. Just like Mason Rudolph, He came up behind Mason Rudolph, and at that point, I want to say Rudolph's helmet was off, and he bopped him, but he didn't hit his head. If he would have hit his head, then that would have been it. But he just blindside blocked when the play was over. Shouldn't do it. Not worthy of a suspension. So that was my take. My take was the punishments were too harsh all around. Myles Garrett should have been 4 games. Mason Rudolph 0, and he did get 0. Should he even be fined? I'm not even sure Mason Rudolph should be fined. But fine, you can fine him if you want. So fine Mason Rudolph. Larry Gojobi should not be suspended. Pouncey should have been suspended for 2. I thought the punishments were too hard. I think everyone took it too seriously. Honestly, this is a football field. Everyone complains that the NFL is so weak nowadays. It's not a man's sport. And then as soon as they do manly, excuse my language, shit, everyone wants to cry and say, oh, the criminal activity. Take them away. Come on. Can y'all grow up? Have you ever been in a fight, dog? If you're charging me and I got something in my hand, I'm swinging that hoe if I can't use my other hand. And that's it. So with that said, we move on and we continue with my 2019, what is this week? Week 12 picks and predictions. All right, man, that got me agitated. The people were just yelling at me on Twitter. Give me the Cleveland Browns to win this game in Cleveland despite not having Myles Garrett. But I do believe that they will miss the playoffs because without Myles Garrett, they can't win out. With Myles Garrett, they could have. Without Myles Garrett, they can't win out. So they're not going to make the playoffs. The Raiders or I think Bills right now, and either Raiders or Texans. If you had to ask me right now, this exact moment, I think the Raiders have an easier schedule, so probably the Raiders. But we'll see. But give me the Cleveland Browns to win this game. But I do think the Dolphins will compete, and I do think it will be close. All right, next game. We have the Detroit Lions at the Washington Redskins. Jeff Driscoll, I like. And I've liked Jeff Driscoll for a while. When he was drafted, I can't remember who drafted him. I want to say it was like the Raiders. I want to say give them an A. Because I love Jeff Driscoll as like a late round pick. This guy can play. And he showed that on display against the Dallas Cowboys last week. Putting up, I want to say, 27 points? I think the Lions win this game regardless. Whether or not Stafford plays, I think they win this game regardless. I like Jeff Driscoll that much. But this will be one opportunity for the Redskins to win another football game. I'll grant it. But I think Jeff Driscoll can play. And I like him better than Dwayne Haskins right now. Dwayne Haskins is a rookie, and now that's fine. I like him better than Dwayne Haskins right now. Give me the Detroit Lions to win this one. Next game, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Tennessee Titans. And oh boy, this is where we're going to get our hopes up. I can't wait. The Jaguars got their ass kicked last week against the Indianapolis Colts. And this was a game in which the Indianapolis Colts ran for 246 yards. What the hell is Derrick Henry about to do? Assuming he's been given the opportunity. The reason why the Titans did not defeat the Jacksonville Jaguars earlier this season was not because Marcus Mariota was playing poorly, although I didn't think he played that. He played kind of poorly. It was because they didn't run Derrick Henry enough. So as long as this game remains close early, they're going to run Derrick Henry enough, and they're going to run away with this game. Making this now, what would it be, a 4-game winning, not a winning streak, but 4 out of 5 games won for Ryan Tannehill, a 6-5 football team, second place in the AFC South after the Colts and the Texans lose, and one of them will lose as they face one another, and in position to even go first place if the Colts lose. Well, in position to be definitively in second place the week after, at the very least, as they travel to Indianapolis, and maybe first place. But that would require for the Colts to lose to the Texans, and then for the Texans to lose the next week, and the Titans to beat the Colts in Indianapolis. And in that scenario, the Titans would be first place in the AFC South. But give me at least tied for it. So give me the Tennessee Titans to win this one, and we'll cross that Indianapolis bridge when we get there. We will get there. All right, next game with the Green Bay Packers at the San Francisco 49ers. A bout between NFC juggernauts. Give me the 49ers. To win this game, they're at home where they played very well this season. Now, the Seattle Seahawks were able to go to San Francisco and you get the W. And the Cardinals were able to compete and almost get the W. The 49ers are falling asleep a little bit. But so are the Packers, who have not had very strong performances lately either. So in San Francisco, I think they get it done. And the way to beat the Packers, as we've seen this season, is to run the football. And that's what the 49ers do, dog. That's what Kyle Shanahan wants to do. That's what he implements. That's what he's going to do here. Next game is the Dallas Cowboys at the New England Patriots. Now, I'm going out on a limb because New England don't lose in New England. They're going to lose this one. The way to beat the New England Patriots, people, the Baltimore Ravens put it all on display. Run that football. Although their secondary is vaunted, although their passing defense is legit, their run defense, not so much. It's less than league average in terms of yards per carry against them this season. It's like 4.6 yards per carry they've allowed this season. Going up against the Dallas Cowboys with Ezekiel Elliott and that offensive line. Now, I'm going to need the Cowboys defense to make some plays, but with the way the New England Patriots offense is playing right now, that's not too much to ask. Give me the Dallas Cowboys to go to New England and get it done here. Now, I still think the Patriots will end up being likely the number one seed, although we're going to get to the Ravens in a second. And I do believe the Cowboys will still probably end up needing to beat the Eagles in Week 16 in order to win the NFC South. It's NFC East. So I don't think this game is going to be the end-all be-all for either one of these teams. I don't think it's going to spell gloom and doom for the Patriots losing the number one seed, and I don't think it's going to spell doom, or I don't think it's going to spell that the Cowboys are going to easily win the NFC East. Now, I think the Cowboys may turn around the week after and lose to the Buffalo Bills. It wouldn't shock me. But I think the Cowboys will implement a strategy in order to defeat the Patriots and will succeed. Next game, we have the Seattle Seahawks at the Philadelphia Eagles. And this is a tough one for me, where the Eagles are kind of, against the ropes. But, man, the Seahawks have been so impressive this season, including on the road, where we just saw them go to San Francisco and get it done. And right now, I just trust Russell Wilson to make every play to win almost every football game. I know he's lost 2 football games this year. Don't get me wrong, he's not perfect. But, man, it's hard to bet against this MVP candidate, Russell Wilson, right now. I don't think this will be the death of the Eagles. And a lot of people will make that statement. But this is the thing, people. Even at 5-6 here, Eagles will have, for their last 5 remaining games, the Redskins, the Dolphins, the Giants twice, and then they host the Cowboys. They could win out. So it's still, to me, going to come down to the Cowboys-Eagles Week 16 game. That's not really a bold thing to say. It will be after the Eagles look 5-6 and the Cowboys are 7-4 and they just beat the Patriots. That's how it's going to end up being to me. So give me the Seahawks to win this one, but the Philadelphia Eagles will still be in it. People, do not bury them after this game. And then finally, we have the Baltimore Ravens at the LA Rams. And the Rams are, doing okay. They beat the Chicago Bears, but not in very convincing fashion. And that's just not what you want to see right now, whereas the Baltimore Ravens are looking damn legit, people. Lamar Jackson is to me, is the MVP right now. And I know Russell Wilson hasn't beat in terms of passing statistics. Great. Passing statistics. But when you combine Lamar Jackson's rushing statistics, where he has 788 rushing yards, he is on pace for 1,200 rushing yards in 3,000, probably 3,600 passing yards, a combined touchdown that will meet If not, it'll be within 2 or 3 touchdowns of Russell Wilson's touchdowns by the end of the year. It might actually be more. In fact, right now, I think he is one. I think Russell Wilson has one more total touchdown than Lamar Jackson. But when you combine the rushing stats that are harder to come by than passing stats in this league, like I know Russell Wilson is throwing for more yards. Who cares? Jameis Winston and Phillip Rivers are number 2 and number 3 in yards. Who gives a damn? They're awful. Awful. Don't give me no damn passing yards. They are terrible. Terrible. So, Lamar Jackson the MVP right now. And it's going to continue in this one as he goes to L.A. and defeats the L.A. Rams 34-31. And with that, so we move on to my guarantees. These are my betting picks of the weekend. We begin with a bold one indeed, but a guarantee still. And that is the Miami Dolphins covering 10.5 points as they travel to Cleveland. They might upset Cleveland. Honestly, with Myles Garrett suspended, with Larry Ogunjobi suspended, with them still emotionally reeling from the end of that previous game, we could see a reeling Browns team struggle emotionally in this game and get upset. But at the very least, they're going to compete to me. And Fitzpatrick can go and compete in these random games. He just beat the Colts. Although it was a Brian Hoyer, he just beat the Colts. So give me the Dolphins plus 10.5. Give me the Oakland Raiders minus 3. It's a good bet. And I think the Raiders, I'll give them a 60% chance of winning the game. I think they're likely to win the game. I don't think it's 100%. I don't think it's 70%. But you're giving me minus 3 there. I'll always take minus 3 if I think it's 60% or more. Always. That's my move. And speaking of, we have the Tennessee Titans minus 3. Again, with the way the Jaguars looked last week, especially against the run, Titans are a great bet there to me. I know I'm a Titans fan. I know I could be biased, but I think that's just a great bet knowing that they're struggling defending what the Titans do best. Cowboys plus 6.5, man, I like them. I think they go to New England and they compete at the very least. They finish within a touchdown. That's the 6.5 points. And the Baltimore Ravens and the LA Rams. Give me the over 46.5. I know the Rams offense is struggling, but they're getting Brandon Cooks back. That will infuse them with something offensively. I think the Ravens still win the game. But over 46.5, it's a pretty damn good bet. So with that, subscribe, and until next time, this has been MJ of Sports Fan Entertainment, and I'm out. See you all later.